Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Nuzla Abdul Halim, ready to report on some of the GBV cases across the world. Please ensure to subscribe, like, comment and share for more. So guys, before I commence, I'd like us to check into one of the videos and see the reality in 2026 and see how the people with disabilities are being neglected and are being deprived of their needs. And they're just going through some violences that are not supposed to they're not supposed to have it, or they're not supposed to have it perpetrated to them, because, there are people who lack the courage, most of them, they lack the courage to speak out. And some of them, maybe they do not only lack the courage, but they also lack the ability to actually speak out for themselves. So let's look at it.
Watching this vision drives a mother to despair.
He was treated like an animal. Our beloved Liam was treated like an animal, and I'll live with that for the rest of my life.
It's July 2023 and Liam Guy is assaulted by a taxi driver trusted to keep him safe.
How many rides did Liam take with this taxi driver?
I know that Singh was driving Liam for at least a year before that.
Liam is non-verbal and lives with an intellectual disability. During a morning pickup in Melbourne, he was struck by driver Janal Singh.
How can someone treat another human being like this?
This vision, a portion of what was uncovered by Victoria Police after Singh blew 4 times the legal alcohol limit while on the job.
It was just a consistent theme, day in, day out. He just didn't secure the wheelchairs. He didn't apply the brakes. Multiple assaults. It was just dangerous driving.
Tonight, 60 Minutes reveals Liam wasn't alone and the abuse wasn't just physical. The driver also overcharged his vulnerable customers and activated their accounts when they weren't even in the car. Leaked documents allege this behaviour is rampant within Australia's biggest taxi company, A2B, which owns 13Cabs, Silver Service and Cab Charge. Hospitals, aged care centres and disability services claim to have been ripped off thousands of times. The state government is now reviewing the use of cab charge products within taxpayer-funded organisations.
What I would encourage any Victorian who feels that they may have been abused or had their cab charge abused by a taxi operator to contact Consumer Affairs Victoria immediately.
Lana Murphy, 9 News.
Now guys, from this video, as we've seen, it talks of a number of things. But I wouldn't wish to dwell into them. I'd like us to talk of the statistics and some of the perpetrators of the GBV towards the people with disabilities. And I'd also like to check into the reasons as to why these people are being targeted or are being affected. So please ensure to stay with me to the end of this video and ensure to like, comment and share. Now guys, basing on the reality in 2026 and what the statistics shows us, statistics confirms bigger percentage of both men, female, and even the children undergoing abuse. And these people are specifically people with disabilities, you see. So it is recorded that 80% of children have been experiencing different kinds of violence, okay? And when we look into the women, we have 34% of them undergoing physical violence and 13% of them undergoing sexual violence. Let's not forget about the male. It is recorded that 7% of the male gender have been undergoing sexual violence. And this is specifically to those with the disabilities, guys. So, if we look into statistics, we've been having this issue where now men lack the courage or fail to report on their abusers. So 7% is the smallest percentage, but you should remember most of their cases they go unreported because of several reasons. So we need to believe that disability doesn't just add vulnerability, but it multiplies it, okay? And I am sure, it's a sure bet that all of us here understand by this statement. Anyways, these people with disabilities, they do not only go through physical violence, emotional violence, psychological, or any other sort of violence, including the sexual one. they also undergo neglect and deprivation. These people are deprived of their needs. And the fact that they lack the courage and they also lack the ability to speak out for themselves, people end up targeting them more and depriving them of their needs. So you'll find, for instance, maybe a woman or a man has gone seeking for medical care and they end up getting deprived. Maybe they miss their medical care, or maybe if they're supposed to be given a wheelchair, it is recorded on the reports of the hospital that this person has paid for this and has been given the equipment. But then in reality check, because this person is vulnerable, they end up reporting on it, but then selling it to another person so that they can obtain the money to themselves. Corruption, guys, it still exists and it continues to exist. And I think it will never end. It will continue existing. So these people, they're also neglected and they're also deprived of their needs. So moving to some of the perpetrators of these abuses towards the people with disabilities, it is quite conspicuous that it would be easier for the people close to these people to be perpetrating this kind of abuse. So it is recorded, according to the statistics, that family members, the caregivers of these people with disabilities, their partners, the institution staff, including the staff in the hospitals, are the biggest perpetrators of these people. Because people with disabilities, most of them, you will barely find these people walking around, boasting or just doing their daily routines just like normal, you see. Unless they have something, that is when they will go after it. So, you see, there are always people who tend to keep to themselves and stay at their homes or at their hospitals just to ensure that their treatments are done properly, you see. So, why do you think these closed ones target people like the people with disabilities much, and they go unreported, or they end up succeeding in whatever malpractice they're trying to do to this kind of people? So one is because, they're vulnerable people. Of course, they'll be dependent on the people that are taking care of them. So for instance, if we look at the perpetrator, the caregiver, when a person with disability stays with their caregiver, of course, they are depending on him or her or the caregiver in general to be taking care of him, you see. So let's say a vulnerable man, a man who maybe cannot walk, you see, he has to be, he's always on bed. The only the only parts that function, let's say, are the parts from the abdomen to the head, you see, in the hands. The legs are not functioning at all. So this person will be dependent on the caregiver to ensure that he takes a shower, he eats, he does every basic need that any normal human being does. So when you look at this kind of instance, this kind of man, if any abuse is done to him, there is no way he will end up reporting, because if he does so, this caregiver will be gone, and who will be taking care of him? You see, so this is the kind of vulnerability that these caregivers or these perpetrators take advantage of to ensure that they obtain their own misdeeds or their own things that they wish to perpetrate towards these people. Again, it is due to communication barriers. As I said at first, these people would tend not to report on these abuses because one, it could be due to lack of courage, but there is this other main one where now they are forced, or they have no ability to actually speak out for themselves. If you talk of the deaf people, the dumb, you see, or the blind people, you see, these kind of people, they are not really able to master, or not to master, to gather up or garner up their courage and do something like that, you see. So there's a communication barrier there where now they are forced to remain silent because they do not have the abilities to do so. But mind you, in the reality check, if these people are given the courage or the shout out to actually speak out for themselves, they'll definitely do so, and we will ensure that justice can be served to them as well. When it comes to creating awareness, You are not creating awareness because you are preventing perpetration of GBV towards yourself. Okay, you are to create awareness in order to speak for the people that are not able to speak for themselves. The courage that we will be giving to each other is the courage that is going to help everyone to seek for their justice and attain their justice to themselves. You see, another thing is poverty. We are stricken by poverty. It's a disease, okay, which is growing and it keeps on growing. Most of us here are poverty. And the rich elites out there, they won't really care of those who are poor, So poverty is the biggest hurdle to these people. Well, imagine now you have your own issues. You are a disabled person, yeah? And you need a lot of care, you need a lot of equipment, you need a lot of things in order for you to function in your daily lives. So can you imagine now abuse is done to you and you are to report the abuse? The processes of reporting are a lot, and for you to present the perpetrator in court, you will need money to pay the lawyer and to also pay the court so that they can hear out your case and ensure that your justice is done. And we should also remember that when it comes to court hearings, some could last for months, some could last for years, some could last for weeks, you see. So can you imagine the cost that the man or the woman or any disabled person can undergo just to ensure that they attain their justice from the perpetration that has been done to them? So most of them tend to fail to report these abuses because they think of the costs that they are going to incur in the long process that they'll have to go through. And then lastly, as obvious, the weak justice systems, our law enforcement. This will be always the reason as to why people are not reporting their abuses or are being targeted, So, the law enforcement is really weak. And we've been having several protests, not only in Kenya. We've had protests in Netherlands, we've had protests in London, we've had protests in Australia, we've had protests in Brazil, Liberia. You see, different countries have been having protests advocating for this law enforcement to get stronger so that justice can be served to any victim out there. You see, so with this weaker enforcement, these people with disabilities tend to remain silent and leave these things go with the flow, you see. So everyone, let us not wait for perpetration of GBV to be done to you so that you can start speaking out on behalf of everyone. If you have the ability and if you have the chance to speak out, please do so. Because the moment you speak out, you are giving a drive to the next person to speak out and ensure that their victim actually attain their justice. Anyways, that's it for today. Thank you for staying with me to the end of this video. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, and share. And bye-bye, everyone. See you in my next